Of the Licensing Subcommittee. The first item on the agenda is the election of chair. Could I call for nominations, please?
Councillor Stephen Allen-Bretus.
Thank you. And is that seconded? Thank you. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Amy, and welcome to this subcommittee of the Licensing Committee. First, can I introduce myself? I'm Councillor Stephen Allen-Bretus, a member of the Licensing Committee and chairing today's subcommittee. Should I ask Pauline, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Councillor Pauline Cowper, a councillor for Cannon Hill Ward.
Thank you, Paul. You're muted, Paul.
Councillor Paul Kohler, councillor for Trinity Ward.
Thank you. Caroline.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Caroline Sharkey. I'm the licensing manager, and I'll be presenting the application to you, members. Thank you.
Thank you. And Guy.
Legal advisor Guy Bishop, part of SLLP, South London Legal Partnership. Thank you.
And Leo.
Good afternoon, Leo Charolambides, barrister representing the applicant.
And the applicant, Carol. You're muted.
I am Carol. I'm the applicant for the premises in question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Amy.
Good afternoon, Amy Dimitrescu, Democracy Services Manager and Clerk for the meeting.
Thank you all very much. And now I'll ask our legal advisor to inform the meeting of a small pre-meet we had and for procedures. Over to Guy. No, you're muted, Guy.
Ah, dear. As always, one does it oneself. So yes, I'm now unmuted. As with all licensing subcommittees at Merton, there is a short pre-meet just for the committee to read the papers and ask any questions of the legal advisor if required. No legal advice is provided in these meetings, and I gave no legal advice this morning. That's it. That's all.
And did you want to go through some of the procedures, or should we just crack on?
Nope, as per your procedures within the agenda pack.
Thank you. Can I ask the licensing officer, Caroline, any technical issues that need to be brought to our attention?
Not any technical issues, Chair, but I was going to give you a brief outline of the application, or if you've read all the paperwork, I can leave you to determine the application if you wish to do so.
A small outline would be fine, Caroline.
Oh, thank you, Chair. So this is an application which has been made for a new premises license for Seung Young, and the premises license is described as a restaurant, and it's called HakkaMoon, which is situated at 185 Streatham Road in Mitcham. The applicant has applied for the sale of alcohol for consumption on the premises, Chair, Monday to Sunday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. with an additional hour on non-standard times on the day when British summertime commences. The opening hours proposed are Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. with an additional hour when British summertime commences. The premises is located in a special policy area, but members should note that the policy does not apply to consumption of alcohol on the premises. The cumulative impact area only applies to the sale of alcohol for consumption of the premises. So this application, members, does not apply to the special policy area. The possible conditions that have been offered up by the applicant are produced on page 5 of the agenda. The subcommittee can add these conditions as a license if they are minded to grant the application, but the subcommittee can also modify the conditions or consider other extra steps that they feel would be appropriate to promote the licensing objectives after hearing all the evidence today. This application was advertised as required under the Licensing Act, and this resulted in receipt of one relevant representation from a local resident, Chair. The resident has made concerns that if this license was to be granted, it would undermine the prevention of crime and disorder, the prevention of public nuisance, if this license was to be granted. Their representation is produced on page 39 of the agenda. In relation to the responsible authorities, Chair.
You didn't know.
Sorry.
Carry on.
Okay. In respect of the responsible authorities, the trading standard initially objected, but the applicant was able to agree to the additional measures which are formulated as conditions of the license. And so we didn't receive any relevant representations from other responsible authorities. The conditions that we agreed with trading standards are produced on pages 5 and 6 of the agenda. On the 4th of February, Chair, last week we received additional information from the applicant explaining the application. This information has been forwarded to all the members, including all the other conditions that have been agreed by the applicant. So this matter is before the committee today to take such steps as you consider appropriate for promoting the licensing objectives. And the options available to the members today are either to grant the application, modify the conditions proposed by the applicant, or to reject the application. This is the summary of the application, Chair. I'm happy to answer any points of clarification at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any points of clarification from my two subcommittee members? No, thank you. We take it that the objection has not been withdrawn, so we need to proceed. The applicant, please present their case. Guy, did you want to come in?
Legal advisor has his hand raised.
Yeah, Guy.
Thank you, Leo. Yes, just one thing that is something I should draw to your attention is the seasonal variation point. Obviously, the hours normally would be for alcohol going to 11, and the seasonal variation would allow an extra hour after that until midnight. That would be an hour where there wouldn't be food provision. So effectively, there'd be no late night food provided between 11 and midnight. Something for you to bear in mind in your deliberations. I'm sure Mr. Charalambidis will explain it to you if need be.
Thank you, Guy. Over to Leo Charalambidis.
Sir, thank you. I wonder if I could just briefly ask Caroline a question. Caroline, you mentioned there was additional information supplied to the members. Is that the presentation to council?
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I had that and I wasn't sure if it was just me, but it makes it easier to know that you will have it as well.
Sorry, I should say it also has what looks to be a final version of the draft conditions, as well as some references, I think.
Yes, wonderful. Then you'll have that. Sir, thank you very much to you and your colleagues. This premises has opened on the High Street since September 2021. I'm sure you'll all agree that it's a great thing to see the hospitality business reviving itself after, well, I'm not sure if we can say after the pandemic. I know we do, but I'm not quite sure I believe that. But then I'm not going to share my pessimism with everyone. But given that the worst of the COVID crisis is over and we're seeing regeneration and restructuring, it's good to see a venue opening. You'll also see from the plan, which is at page 34, that it's a very modest restaurant. It is I think it's no more than 30 covers at any one time. So you can see it's a small business that's coming into the high street. And crucially, it's very important that it is a restaurant, particularly being mindful of your policy in the area, which seeks to address the over-proliferation of off-licensed premises. So one can take from that the conclusion that what you're actually seeking to do is encourage this very type of restaurant. This type of restaurant and offering is one where you have very experienced operators. You've got the applicant herself, Ms. Young, who has over 30 years experience that's set out, and Caroline, who's going to be the DPS, has over 20 years experience of operating these and similar restaurants. You'll also see that not only have they thought about the area they're moving into, but a degree of sustainability. What you'll see is that the menu leads with vegetarian and tofu dishes, which is very much what we want to be seeing nowadays, apparently. If you're one of the woke kids, I personally love my meat, but you get that in all your noodle dishes. And you can see, again, it's a very focused menu. So it's not one of those kitchens which is cooking everything and anything for everyone, but it's very focused, which limits wastes and limits those kind of impacts. And you can see on the menu the very typical drinks and alcohol that is being sought. So very familiar to what you'd see in a Pan-Asian restaurant that serves a local community, and you can see the references there. As part of the application process, the police were consulted by those instructing me, and they were happy with the application, and that of course is very important when you come to consider this. And thankfully, trading standards also were happy with the application, and you'll observe the conditions that they suggest are really about signage and training. They're at the lowest level of administrative regulatory impacts that need to be considered. In terms of the representation from our local neighbour, firstly, given that we're a local high street restaurant, of course, our concerns are local. We're not going to be a destination venue for people coming from far and wide. It really is about serving the local community. It's as much in our interest as it is in everyone else's to ensure that the area outside the restaurant is kept clear. We don't want to see antisocial behaviour. We don't want to see noxious sounds or smells or whatever it may be, and that of course in part is led by our menu, or indeed antisocial behaviour. And it's worth noting, of course, that since the autumn of last year we've operated the restaurant with a bring your own. In many respects, bring your own is kind of worse for your policy area, because it means people go to the off licenses, they front load, they preload, they go eat, and then they know where to post load if they need to. This way we take all those off licenses out of the equation, because they just come to a fully functioning restaurant. So there is a real reduction in the footfall in terms of your local off licenses in the area. So that's a real positive step from the point of view of the policy. And so, as obviously respectful of the neighbours, nonetheless the representations are vague. It's about potential fears of what might happen in a very general sense, rather than anything directly or specifically raised against the applicant, or indeed the proposed DPS, or directly to do with our application. So, sir, in all the circumstances, given what is effectively the endorsement by your responsible authorities, given that we're driving in the direction of your own policy which supports this application, and the lack of direct complaint or concern, I commend the application to you as applied, and urge you to grant it. So both myself and Ms. Wong are here if we can answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, as I say, I recommend the application to you in the form it has been made. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that concise, comprehensive statement. Any questions from anyone? First of all, from my panel members, my subcommittee members, Paul Kohler, Pauline Kaup. Any questions to the applicant's representative? No? Thank you. Any questions from anyone else? No? Thank you. We now go on to the responsible authority present their case. Have we done that? Thank you. And any, yeah.
Okay.
Any presentation by any interested parties? None thereof. Thank you. Yeah. Licensing officer, any comments, clarifications?
I've got no further comments to add, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal advisor, any comments, clarifications?
Slight clarification. I did ask it before, Leo, just if you could just confirm as I said, the supplemental agenda includes a list of conditions. I assume those are the last version.
Sorry. Yes, they are. They are. I
Good.
think they,
Thanks.
yeah.
That's
they,
fine.
they match yours as well.
I
Yes.
hope so. Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen those conditions, very good conditions added to by trading standards. Any closing statements by the responsible authority?
So as much as I love the sound of my own voice, I'm not even the responsible authority.
Yeah, 1 minute.
I've elevated myself. That's how much I love my own voice. But no,
Yeah.
I have no closing anyway. As I've started, I'll finish.
Yeah, and Caroline?
I've
No.
got no further
No, thank-
closing statements, Chair.
Nothing from the applicant. Thank you very much. So we shall now retire to a private session, and all the parties will receive a decision within 5 working days. We now ask the legal officer and the clerk invited also to retire. We'll make our decision in closed session. I think that's it from us. I want to thank everyone involved in this subcommittee meeting.